Well, a historic day, I think a sad day for the country, too, and that is the first time in U.S. history a former president of the United States is going to be indicted on federal criminal charges, 37 counts in the indictment against former President Trump. There's been a lot of question as to what's at stake here. And let me tell you this, in a case like this, unlike the case in New York, and I think even like what Georgia will end up looking like, the fact of the matter is, on this case, your liberty's at risk. Andy, the arraignment means what? What will happen in short order?
The arraignment is simply a time when the U.S. magistrate judge, not the district judge, announces to the defendant, President Trump, former President Trump, that he's been indicted by a grand jury in the Southern District of Florida and tells him what the charges are. He waives the reading of the indictment. We don't read indictments anymore, 37, 40 pages of indictments, whatever it is, and tells him what the charges are, and asks him to enter his plea not guilty or guilty. The president, either through his counsel or himself, will enter a plea of not guilty to these charges, and then we will proceed with motions and so forth.
There's no arrest warrant here. This is a summons. He's answering a summons. What does that mean? That means he's been summoned to appear in the federal court to answer the charges. And if you were going to arrest someone, Andy, you issue an arrest warrant.
This is a summons. In other words, he is summoned and told to appear, and he voluntarily surrendered himself pursuant to the summons today.
Now, technically, it is an arrest in the sense
that
your liberty is
restrained
for a short period of time. When I say short period of time, like 20 minutes. So it should be a non-event today in the sense of nothing major should be announced, in my view. You cannot divorce this indictment from the entire approach that the weaponized Federal Bureau of Investigation and these other agencies have had against the former president, even when he was candidate for president back in 2016. The Durham report came out and said it was no basis to start an investigation. Yet that's when we then spent $40 million of our money on the Mueller nonsense. And it was nonsense. And I know it was nonsense. So does Andy, because we handled it for the president. Then we had the Ukraine impeachment, more nonsense. And then we had the fight over Congress and the tax returns with the DA. We went to the Supreme Court 3 times on that. Well, actually 4 times when you count all the sub-appeals on that. Nonsense. So then when this one comes out, and there's some pretty serious allegations in here. I mean, let's be clear. I mean, there's serious allegations. But it's hard to divorce those serious allegations from everything else that has transpired.
The fact that you're pointing out the succession of events that have occurred here is really important. You got Durham, you got Mueller, you got the Ukraine impeachment.
Jack
you
Smith
got,
now?
You got remember the false impeachment. Let's not forget that
one right?
With Patrick Leahy presiding over the Senate, and the Chief Justice didn't even show up. Then you got Alvin Bragg, the district attorney in New York, indicting over some paper stuff that you filed a false report with respect to the Trump organization. So what they are is just ganging up one after the other, the Democrats and the Biden administration, on President Trump over and over and over and over again to try to derail him. Guess what? With this man, I know him, Jay knows him, derail ain't gonna happen.
I think the reality is that the American people are seeing this overplay from the Democrats. They are seeing that they keep picking fruit from this poisonous tree, and they keep trying to push it on the American people. But I think there's a point when independents and really thoughtful people say, why are they going after Donald Trump so hard, so much, all of the time? Indict, taxes, indict. And now they're seeing that they're just absolutely afraid. And they're also seeing that this is a distraction.
There's going to be an arraignment. That arraignment will take probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Donald Trump, I'm sure, is going to enter pleas of not guilty to all 37 counts. Walt Nauta, who's also been indicted here, will also, I'm sure his lawyers will do the same. And then motions will start. And then this case gets pretty quiet for a long time. I don't think it goes to trial before the election. But we're going to talk. We'll break this all down tomorrow on the broadcast. I have no doubt that the plea is going to be not guilty. But this is a fascinating time and I think a perilous time in our history on these kind of things.